this house actually know about theory. It's a theory talking about if you know the right person in the world, you could get to know anybody in the world, 2 people with maximum of 6 people if you get to the key person. And I think Ms. Tang Jia here today, our next speaker, must agree with me about that theory, right? Ms. Tang Jia is actually, she is the founder of the president of Niche Global Top Gear Graduates Network, 女婿全球名校基金会, and the financial advisor currently at Freedom 55 Financial under the headquarters of the Power Corporation. She was born in Shanghai, and after obtaining her MBA and diploma in Canada, she was working many years back in Shanghai. And then she found out there's a question, same question as there are many employees there have a good job but doesn't know the right person, and it's hard for their career path to go even further. So she decided to build a high-end practical social network, which is called 女婿. And people who hold the diploma of the prominent universities can be members. So today I would like to give the stage to Ms. Tang Jia to give us a further information of how she founded the association and how to build her personal network. Please welcome Tang Jia.
Thanks for the introduction. Thanks to God and thanks to the Canadian-China Young Lawyers Association to give me this opportunity to share my experiences in social relationship. When I was a student in the Ivy Business School, I had a course called Social Relationship. I remember we had a speaker, he is said to be a social specialist in Canada, and she threw, as she said, like we don't know how to describe from here. She threw me 2 questions, like as one of the MBA students from the top universities in Canada, do you like a social network? And do you find it difficult to start a topic with strangers? I was very honest, I said, no, I do not like social network, just as she said. And I said, I do find it difficult to start a topic with a stranger. So today I'm going to throw the same questions to you guys. The first question is like, how many of you are lawyers and will become lawyers in the future? Okay, many of you are and will. And how many of you are doing sales or marketing jobs? Okay, do you find it difficult to start a topic with strangers? Okay, so I found the wrong person. Okay, fine. I mean, why do you think it important for social relationship? Is it related to your job or for the main reason?
Well, it's related to everything. I think having social relationships is a foundational part of being a person, right? So when you have a social relationship, it can be useful for work, but doing activities like that will also be useful for yourself because you will develop so many skills and you will also feel better. Just think about any time you've spent an evening talking to people, doing things, and think about how much better you felt the next day. And the more you do, the more you build your character and the more comfortable you become doing it. So I think that it's good for yourself, but it can also obviously be good for your business, and I think it's essential for business.
Okay, great. Basically, he talks about everything I want to talk. Okay, actually, it's very ironic for the Chinese culture. Like in China, everybody knows social relationship is extremely important. However, in the Chinese culture, we are not good at social network. Do you agree? It's not our strength to build up social relationships. So yeah, it is important. We all know it is important. But why it is important? I give you 3 points. First, it improves your efficiency. Second, it gives you result. And the third, if you are able to transfer a non-relationship into an effective relationship, basically you get rid of all the barriers. You will be accessible to very important resources that are not accessible to others. So you will get your superior advantages. For these three reasons, social relationships are very important. And the second topic is, do you think people like social? We have an exception here. But I tell you the truth, many people, they don't like to be social if it's not for the job reason. People don't like to be social. Why? Mainly for two reasons. First, people try to protect themselves from the strangers. They don't like to see denying faces. They don't like to see unfriendly faces. So they do not want to take the risk. They want to try to protect their self-emotion. So they don't let the goal lead their way. They let emotion lead their way. This is one of the very important reasons. And second, everybody comes to an event with their own goal and interest. People try to prioritize their own interest over the others. They don't really care about the other interests. For example, if I were a lawyer, I come to this event, chances are I want to see my potential clients. Who care about the others? Why do I have to know why they come here, right? Many people come to an event or do social because they ignore people's interests. That's why they do not like social, because they do not know why others come to the same event. So I give you these 2 points just to remind you, you have 2 very powerful weapons already. If you are able to get rid of your emotion, you will be fine. Let the goal lead your way, not your emotion. This is the first weapon. The second weapon is care about people's interests. Know their interests before you want to talk about yours. For example, talk about myself. Right now, I'm a financial security advisor at the Freedom 55 Financial. Many of my colleagues find it very difficult to book an appointment with a client, even if it's at a place. But to me, my schedule is always full. I had no difficulty in booking people coming to see me in my office, and I just started last month. So why there is no difficulty to me? Because I have a huge waiting list. If you do not want to see me, it's fine for me. I'm not nervous because I just go to the next person. So know the importance of social networking, and remember the 2 powerful weapons. You will be fine with social relationship. Thank you.
Talking about the tools that you have at your availability and how you must be driven by your goals, and asking about why are people here, why are they here tonight, and I think it's to hear great speakers, right? So I'm super excited to introduce our next speaker. I had the pleasure to talk to her a little bit earlier, so I'm going to introduce her. She's her name is Ida Nguyen Feze Esquire, and she's from Cameroon, and she's a lawyer. She holds a BA in Law and Society from the Ramapo College of New Jersey, a Juris Doctor degree from the Howard University School of Law in Washington, D.C., where she was the president of the International Law Society. And she just recently completed an LLM in International Public and Private Law at the University of Montreal, where she founded the Black Law Student Association and the Student Committee on International Commercial Arbitration. She was also the president of the Graduate Law Student Association, a captain of the first moot team to win a distinction at the prestigious Willem C. Vitz International Commercial Arbitration Moot in 2012. She's been an assistant coach, a consultant, and an arbitrator for the Canadian Vs Moot rounds, as well as the East Moot in Hong Kong. She's currently an academic associate at McGill University, working at the Center for Genomics and Policy on Legal Issues dealing with health and environment applications of biotechnology. That's a handful. And she's also a member of the Quebec Bar Working Group, which is called the Forum pour une profession plus inclusive, where she works on improving the professional integration of visible minorities and foreign trained lawyers. So please, a warm welcome from Ida Nguyen Feze.
Well, first, thank you very much. Jack just left, but I'm very pleased to be here today. I've known Jack since he came to Montreal, and for me it was a pleasure to actually interact with Chinese students. It was my first kind of first contact with Chinese students. And ever since we kept in touch, and when he told me about this project of having this association, I was thrilled and happy, and this is why I joined as a vice president. And basically, as mentioned, I've worked in the United States before coming here, and since my last name is Nguyen Feze, I've often received invitations to attend events with Asian lawyers and South Asian lawyers, because my last name, Nguyen, is often confused to be Nguyen, which is kind of Vietnamese, and they thought that I was Asian. So the surprise when I show up at those events is always interesting. But I also had the opportunity at the University of Montreal. I think one other thing that Paolo maybe didn't mention is that the University of Montreal has a program that sends students to China, and I had the opportunity to that program and learn Chinese law in Beijing at the China University of Political Science and Law. And I think for me it was my first step and my really first interest in learning more about the legal culture in China and learning more about the Chinese culture in general. Also because there's so much going on now in Africa with Chinese investment that it's kind of bridging between Montreal and China, or Canada and China. It was a no-brainer. Everybody needs to have that insight and that interest. What I wanted to leave with you today for the students is my advice, because I'm not the traditional lawyer. I've worked at a firm, but I was a consultant, legal consultant since my second year in law school. First doing just non-legal research, and then afterward doing more assignments, international level, United Nations and other organizations. So my advice to students is to be bold, to really expand your horizon when you're taking classes, and to be to develop your interest in things that you may not know that you're interested in. I've worked doing environmental law and doing health law, biotechnology law, but I've always been eager to take on files and issues that I didn't know anything about. And I think for me that was a thrill, to learn something new each time. And it's part of why also I'm interested in arbitration, because you always get cases with a corporate background, but then sometimes you have those issues that are more of an international public law spectrum. So I will say, take your classes, but look for it to push yourself further from what the professor can give you. Take classes that you didn't know you would be interested of, but also take classes if you have the opportunity that are outside of the law. I think it's very interesting to take classes in environment and other domains such as economy or politics and other things, so you get a different perspective. You come to meet people who are from different domains. And I see here that you have the opportunity to have students who are doing economy, who are doing different sector, or doing business. So it's very important to have a network of people who have a variety of backgrounds, not only in the legal field, but in other fields as well. And have a vision of what kind of lawyer you want to be. I think this is also very important, because sometimes the clean-cut lawyer, who's a corporate lawyer, a business lawyer, is often pushed on students, but you can expand that spectrum. For myself, for example, I'm also involved in doing social research, in reaching with people who are doing work that I wouldn't be expected to get people to do policy work as well. So the lawyer you want to be can be pretty much anything you put your mind into. And having the set skills that the law degree will give you is giving you that edge. You'll find that even from your first degree or your first year in law school, people come to you because having that training gives you some type of expertise. And most of the time also sometimes involve people trusting you because you have the skill of a lawyer, because of your practice. So you have to take that in and take also the responsibility of doing the hard work. I think all those speakers mentioned that working hard is at the core of everything you're going to have to do, but doing it with the passion. I mean, when you're working hours without keeping track of the time, that really shows that this is something in your spirit driven to do. And I hope that in your careers or in your studies you find that passion that keeps you up late at night, and but manages to balance with your personal interests in your family life. So I will leave you with this verse.
Yes, thank you for the useful information. I believe for Chinese lawyers or future lawyers, the program you just mentioned is really interesting. You might want to talk to her later on during our time for more information. Thank you so much. And our next speaker is actually, I'm really happy to introduce her. Her name is Dan Su, right here. And actually, she's around our age, even though she talks really mature and she acts really mature. And she's a personal role model. And she's part of many non-profit associations as well. A few work together. And it's really a great person. And she also, she joined Pastel Latino under Mr. Jean-Pierre as a student in summer of 2013, following her second year in McGill University's BCL and LLB program. After completing her LLB degree on the Chinese law in Macau, she continued her studies in international business law at University of Montreal and obtained her LLM degrees in 2010. She also graduated on the Dean's of Honors list. That's really impressive. More than that, she has been actively involved in the Chinese community, as I mentioned before, in Montreal. She's a member of a non-for-profit organization called Chinese Lights, called Montreal International. We're both on the board. And also, she's also a member of the Canada-China Business Council Youth Committee, the CCBC for the Youth Committee. So, without further introduction, I'd like to give my stage to Ms. Dan Su for her experience and share with everybody here. A round of applause, please.
Bonjour, Madame et Monsieur. Comment allez-vous? I just wanted to show off my French. I'm not speaking English. I'm sure you've had enough, like 5 people in a row, so I'm gonna keep it really short. I just want to share a bit of my personal experience for people at my age here to know Montreal life and how to really establish yourself. I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way. So first point that I would like to make is do not lock yourself up. I came to Montreal at Tibetan, born and raised in China. I came here as an international student at University of Montreal, actually, and Paul and Ada as well. Paul, you lost some weight. You're pretty good. So yeah, I found my first job with Mr. Melvin Weigel while I was studying at the University of Montreal. How did I find this job? So many people ask me the same question because they're wondering how to live after graduation, how to live here, how to find a job. So basically for me is I just spoke to a person who I met at the graduation ceremony who happens to know Melvin, Mr. David Franklin. So I wasn't shy, I just wrote an email to Melvin and I promised him I wouldn't disappoint him. I'm sure I haven't disappointed you yet, Melvin. Okay, so yeah. And I landed a job. It was a really great experience with Melvin. And then I had to go to Miguel to continue my study to be able to become a practice lawyer here in Quebec. So I find it really difficult at the beginning. I mean, I'm from China. I don't know French. Like my French is really bad. You probably have noticed at the beginning of my conversation. Yeah, but just speak to people. I spoke to Paul. My friend Paul over there, he helped me with difficulties in culture and how to manage the courses. I exchanged experience with Inghong, who's over there, now my colleague at Fasting as well. So I mean, don't be shy. Don't lock yourself up, and just try go out and then meet people, talk to people. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know. You might just from one conversation you can get a job. Who knows? So yeah, and my first year at McGill, first semester, I also met my boyfriend Patrick, and who happens to be a very good person. And so here for you, girls and boys, if you haven't had a boyfriend or girlfriend, go out. If you want to improve your French, find a Québécois or Français. But that's not the reason I married him. So yeah, and life is beautiful. Don't be shy. Don't lock yourself up. Go out. That's my first point. Second point, really quick, is take some race. You know, I remember I had 2 years ago. Is that Jack? I found a company with Jack and another friend of us. We're like 23. We're very, very young. We didn't know, but we were ambitious. So we found a company called Mayflower. If you search the Quebec company registration, you may probably find it. But then, like, it's a consultant company. We really wanted to do something. But then in the end, I had to go back to school at McGill, so we kind of let it go. But it was a great experience. The point I'm making here is, you know, we're young. The company didn't go anywhere, but we learned a lot. Don't be afraid of failure, you know? Take some risk, calculate the risk. We're still young. If you are thinking about going to law school, but you're not sure, go. Spend like 2-3 years, you become a lawyer. If you don't want to become a lawyer again, then just do something else. If you want to start a company, just go and try. If it doesn't work, you're young. We are all young here. We still got a lot of time. It's like opportunities. So really, I think we should really take some risk, calculate the risk. One person spoke to me. I was very lucky to know. His name is John McBain. Jean-Pierre knows him very well. He told me that I should really, I mean, not me, but everybody here should really take some risk. Because if you don't, life is so predictable and you're gonna feel like boring. You're gonna play video games every day, you're gonna watch Korean soap opera every day, and the time passes by quick. So don't be shy, don't lock yourself up, take some risks, do whatever you want to do. If you fail, doesn't matter, try something new, start again. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can find me everywhere.
Thank you so much, Jen. Very speechless always. So I noticed that Max Panoha is here with us right now. Where are you, Panoha? Welcome. Panoha is actually the lawyer of Macmillan Legislation Group, the professor of law faculty at the University of Montreal. And right now we're going to have a little interview between Panoha and Jack in the middle of the stage. With something interesting. We only have one mic, so we have to share it.
First of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Perron, to come here tonight. I thought actually he would not come because, you know, some personal affairs, but since he came, I want to share this great opportunity with Mr. Perron and to talk about something about him. He's actually a great person that I admired a lot. I can see that 2 years later, I want to become a person just exactly like him. You know, he's so successful, so connected to this community, not just the Chinese community in Montreal, so even like the whole Canada. So and also I can see a lot of leadership and abilities from him, and that's what I want too. So he actually is exactly the model for me. I think also for a lot of Chinese young people, or not just Chinese people, for everybody, I think, for young generation, and that is why I invited him to come here tonight. So tonight, I want to pass this microphone to Nara to say some words first, and then we get another simple interview.
Thank you, Jack. Well, congratulations for this organization. I think it's wonderful. A couple of years ago, there was an organization called CCYLA. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I went to one of their events, and it was actually a lot smaller than here. There were about 15, 20 people there. 4 years after, when they organized the Orchid Ball, there are about 400 or 500 people, and they have ministers, they have politicians, they have business people, very honorable people that gets there. And it was organized, the first one was organized in a place a little bit like here. So I really believe that with what I'm seeing right now, in 3 or 4 years, I quite believe that you guys are going to get to that level very, very soon. And I just wanted to say that because this is what I'm seeing right now, and I was very impressed when I entered the room because I actually never went to one of your activities, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. So you know why? Because this is our first big event, that's why, okay? Okay, I just wanted to have some simple question for you. As a very successful lawyer in Chinese Montreal community, I just want to know that what is your motion, what's the motivation, the first motivation to become a lawyer?
To be a lawyer? Well, that's not really a decision that I took. I'll be very honest with you, okay? As you know, with the Chinese and the Asian culture, parents takes a lot of decision, right? So in my family, on the sides of my sisters, mothers, fathers, they all went in health services, all doctors, dentists, pharmacists. And had no interest at all in that. So my mother told me, well, if you don't want to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer. So I was like, okay, I hate blood, so maybe I like books. And then I applied to McGill to try out, if I would get accepted or not. If not, then maybe I'll be ending up in the hospital. And I was accepted. And then I tried, and I started, reading about laws, and I start enjoying learning about laws. And I think that life is made in some ways that everything gets organized as far as you walk straight, right? And after my degree in McGill, I applied to work in a firm. I did the curso stage, something that people will live or die for, depending how you see that. It's a very challenging race to get a job. I passed through that, and then I finally got hired in a law firm called Goldstein, Flens and Fisher. Worked there for 2 years. And this was not a national law firm. It was a boutique law firm specialized in litigation. And they did most of the biggest files in Canada, like the BC case, $34 billion lawsuit. It's one of the biggest lawsuits going to the Supreme Court. The Castor Holding case, it's been 17 years in court. But that firm was not focused at all on business development. They had their big files, and what they wanted the lawyers to do is to be good lawyers. But what is good lawyers? Is that good lawyers because you know well about law, or it's because you can attract clients? Their perception was really, it's to know about law and to win the court and to give good services to your client. And I stayed there for 2 years, and I learned a lot about this. But then when there was a senator that was working there, his name is Yoni Goldstein. Maybe you know about him. He's a very knowledgeable lawyer in bankruptcy. After his nomination to the Senate, he decided to go to Montreal, and then I followed him there. And then I again learned a bit about myself by changing law firm. Because Macmillan is a really different type of law firm. It's a national law firm, a little bit like Fasman, and they're promoting a lot of business development. And this is where I start learning about a different angle about myself, which is going to events and getting to know people.